they're going to be side by side coming down, and it's going to be Caleb Hall taking it.
Solstice Racing has a love affair with international airports, I'm starting to think, because for the second time in 2 seasons we go overseas, but this time it is to the Netherlands at the Valkenburg airport. Joey Bailey won that pretty crazy race over in Russia, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can maintain the momentum that he has from that win. But we're coming off that crazy race in Texas, and while we were having some technical difficulties, I think it's a good thing we weren't covering that race, because I think only about 5 cars finished. And one of them was Michael Frisch. He has not made a resurgence. The defending champion sitting 7th in points with no stage bonus points. It's going to be Brandon Nicholson on pit lane. Dylan Body next to me in the commentary box. I am Josh Mertz, bringing you live flag-to-flag coverage here on High Voltage Media Productions. Tonight, we have Dylan Livingood in the production truck, directing and bringing us some analyses. He's got all the cameras in front of him. And Dylan Body, that is, I have to ask you, the defending champion, he's struggling.
Yeah, it's not looking like a real hot start to the season here as we get into the real meat of the season and start getting into some of these, more challenging places. It'll be interesting to see if he can start to put himself in the right direction here tonight. Seeing a lot of fast cars, and he's right about the middle of the pack, not necessarily looking like the fastest car, but we've seen these races pan out to where it's not always the fast guy who's up in the front at the end.
As I was looking through qualifying results, we look at practice results. Brian Mercurio, Phoenix winner, 0.6 of a second faster than Dylan Smith. We look at qualifying, 0.6 of a second faster than Dylan Smith. There's a recurring theme here, and it's the 41 and the 1 are stupid fast. But I gotta tell you, I was in the car during practice. I thought I was going really good. Let's look at the practice results here. So Brian Mercurio, 1 minute 33.107. And we go all the way down to me, a 1 minute 39. I thought I was so fast, but it's so hard. So hard to drive this track.
Yeah, it's a strange layout. The airport road courses, they pose a real difficulty because there's not a lot of uphill and downhill. There's not a lot of advantageous places to go. You just really got to hit your marks. It's a lot of, driver and mental side here today.
As Dylan Livingood down in the production truck, like I said, he's got the slew of monitors in front of him. What are you thinking about today's race?
Well, Josh, we were talking before the race how stock cars are tough for you, aren't they? The reason why, and especially at these types of tracks, is because really they're meant to, there's not a whole lot of mechanical travel with all the different suspension components, and they're just kind of sloppy, and a lot of it goes through the chassis, in a normal like Indy car or open wheel car, but in a stock car you don't have that flex through the chassis so much, and so what it's trying to do is it's just trying to use the tires like it's cheese and just make Swiss cheese out of it, and these guys burn their stuff up really quick. So look for the fall off early in the run here, and these airport tracks, they're always unpredictable, so I'm excited to get this one underway.
As if we can bring up the schedule, not sure if the director's going to pull that one up. But next week is, I want to say they're doing a double header. I will not be here. I'm going to be camping near Indianapolis, so I'll be on vacation. So Tuesday, I believe we're going to be in Milwaukee, and Thursday in Lucas Oil in Indianapolis. Those are going to be 2 good races. And there was announced, due to the truck race in Eldora, obviously we were off last week. We're going to do the same thing the week of, I want to say that's September 12th. We're going to run Charlotte on that Thursday, and the Tuesday before we're going to run Dover. So a lot of traveling for these teams, not a lot of time to swap cars, to swap setups, everything like that. But we're going to take a look now at the point standings coming into round number 4 here in Valkenburg. And what I noticed was Joey Bailey is leading the points, and he has not won a race this season, I don't believe, as my notes are not pulling up. Let me take a look here. Joey Bailey on top of the points, 88 points, 3 rounds into the season. Then Cosman in second, Jake Poulin in third. We have to go down to Jeremy Stanley in fourth, the first race winner. Dylan Smith from CRI Super Speedway winner, Brandon Lambert. Michael Frisch, we talked about, 7th in points, no playoff points. Kyle Riley, Nick Baker, Chris Wetz, Dylan Poteet, Corey Spencer. What's interesting to note, Brian Mercurio is not in the playoffs right now, as Erdman, Rada, and Mikas, 13th, 14th, and 16th. So it's crazy how the seasons change, because this time last season, Frisch had won in Nazareth, finished second in Daytona. He had all those points, and now he doesn't have any of it.
Yeah, it's definitely a complete landscape change in the course of about 6 months with these 2 season per year setups we do over here. Leads to a lot of potential for changes, but not something you necessarily expect to see. The standings be so shook up from here to where we were at this point in the season last year.
And Josh, we really are going through a whole lot of package changes, and we're running a little bit different packages than what we normally would at some tracks, and I think that is going to be the huge differentiator in the points from the first season to the second season.
As got about 45 seconds till everybody grids up, we're going to go through the qualifying order here in the Netherlands. Brian Mercurio, Dylan Smith on the front row of the grid. Mercurio 1 minute 32.647. Dylan Smith a 1 minute 33.229. Brandon Lambert and Cody Erdman on the second row of the grid. Lambert is a further 5/10 back from his teammate, and Erdman is a further 5/10 back from Lambert. So it's nearly 2 seconds from first to fifth. Bobby Sweeney making his first start of the season alongside Jeremy Stanley, the winner from Texas. As Kyle Riley and Arnold Columbia on the fourth row of the grid. Jake Poulin and Chris Wetz, Dylan Poteet, Matt Wishart, Joey Bailey. Interestingly, I don't know if that time was correct, 8 seconds off of the pace. He's on the seventh row of the grid with Cole DeRozier. Then it's Steve Rada, Michael Frisch, who is rounding out your field. And defending champion Frisch starts shotgun on the field.
Josh, I'm not 100% sure, but with the size of this track, is it maybe they ran 1 lap for qualifying only? I wonder if maybe Bailey just got squirrely and just decided to take it easy and save it and not wreck the car, heading into the race. That
would be the very good assumption. I was on track. I mean, the laps are 1:30, and typically with stock cars on a road course, you only get 1 lap. And
yeah.
And like I said, I was 6 seconds off the pace. I thought I was flying. These cars are so hard to drive, especially at a track like this. The curbs are very high. When you hit the curb the wrong way, you're either going to spin it or you're going to spit it over the curbs, and it's not going to be a fun result.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of. I was watching in the leading opening practice session before qualifying. I did a lot of time following our HVMP sponsored machine, the 71 of Chris Wetz, and he was hitting the curbs pretty hard. And a couple times it looked like some of the shots from the NASCAR Cup Series in Watkins Glen with 4 wheels in the air when he went over them. And I can't imagine that's any good for the car.
As we are winding down, getting ready to race here in the Netherlands. So 14, 15, 16, 17 cars. Nick Baker in the 9 will start shotgun on the field. He didn't pop up on the qualifying results, so I think he just got through post-practice, pre-qualifying inspection, so he wasn't able to run a lap.
I know that the team was talking about having some issues with the steering wheel earlier in the night, so maybe they just didn't get out in time to actually take time.
17 cars. I'm gonna bring you in, Mr. Livingood, as well. It's interesting. The biggest field this season on a road course. What's your thoughts about that?
I think it just shows that the series is picking up a little bit of momentum, and it really, I think, goes back to last season's race that we had at Miachovo that you ran. It was such an exciting race, such a battle of attrition, and I think some of these guys wanted a little piece of the pie next time around.
I have to correct you there. I ran in Denver, but that still stands. That Denver race was crazy.
Yeah, and that was another crazy airport race. So,
and we line up. I want to say this is on the back straightaway, so we're not going to get that much of a pace lap, I don't think. But they're doing it just like they did in Darlington, lined up against the wall, a Solstice tradition.
Yeah, it's really a beautiful sight to see when you come out to these Solstice events and the cars all grid up against the wall like this. It's just a cool way, to get to see everybody's cars there and roll off, see everybody's scheme and what kind of stuff they brought, aesthetic-wise, before you get to see what they got under the hood.
So, 2 stages tonight. We're going to go to the end of lap 15 for stage 1, and the end of stage 2 is a race end at 42 laps. As
Yeah,
we're going
I
to get
love
ready to fire them up here in the Netherlands.
On behalf of the many great folks at Bass Pro Shops, Tracker, and MB&A, gentlemen,
As I want to thank everyone here for hanging with us here on High Voltage Media Production. We had a rough couple of weeks. We had to transition over to ASN from Phoenix. We had some geological oddities happen to cover in Texas, but like I said, the open was probably a good thing we didn't cover in Texas anyways. The graphics might say 45 laps. They have built in overtime, but we will go to the end of 42. 17 cars here in the Netherlands getting ready at this 2.4-mile airport circuit. Brian Mercurio and Dylan Smith, 2 of the race winners this season on the front row of the grid as the pace car goes to pit lane. I'm very excited for this race. This track is so difficult, and let's see who will master it as we are getting ready to go green in the Netherlands as the field bunches up. Very long wait for the flagger to throw the green. We're going now in Valkenburg into turn 1. Dylan Smith on the outside of Mercurio. Looks like he's going to take the fight to him as we go through 2, but Mercurio peeking on the inside. 1 around in the back, it's Rada in the 3. As Erdmann slides it nearly into Sweeney in the 99.
Got a big gaggle mid-pack here, the 31 and the 71, 77, a few others back here jumping up. Joey Bailey trying to zig and zag his way through the mess as he works his way towards the front.
As Nick Baker being held by officials, not being able to get on track for some reason. We'll have to follow up with Brandon Nicholson, see if he can figure out why. As Mercurio and Smith are battling like it's the end of the race, and we just started as they're side by side.
Yeah, honestly, this first lap feels like, the last 5 from Watkins Glen the past few years. These guys are all over.
As Lambert nearly hits his teammate. And one big pile up in the hairpin.
Oh my goodness, horrible crash in the hairpin.
Unless we're going to call a red flag. I'm thinking it's going to be so.
Believe that may be enough.
I think that's what it is. As we'll be right back here on HVMP from Valkenburg. Back live in the Netherlands here in Valkenburg. I hate to break the fourth wall. Everybody knows this, but the huge pileup going into the hairpin was on purpose, as it looks like Nick Baker was having some issues still getting on track. So we're going to take a couple moments to try and get him to be able to get on track here. So everyone's rolling out the backup cars, getting ready to go. That first half lap, aside from the obvious, Dylan, was very exciting. We had the lead swap several times in half a lap.
Yeah, it was like crossover on crossover.
As I'll have to get a better system to talk to either one of you, as I'll probably refer to you as Mr. Living Good. I know you were about to say something until Dylan thought that I was talking to him.
Well, I just wanted to let everyone know that's foreshadowing. I mean, that's how it's going to be at the beginning. Might mellow out a little bit in the middle, as we've seen, and then I don't know, because this season is so different than last season. We might not even see that, but at the end, things are really going to pick up, and it's going to be a dog-eat-dog world out there.
As everyone grids up again, backup cars are rolled out like nothing ever happened. We'll have to see if Baker can get on track.
Honestly, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but with the fourth wall already broken, from a technological standpoint, Baker's not even being scored on the qualifying chart, which leads me to believe we're going to have to re-qualify for him to be able to get on track.
That is, I noticed that because he's in the entry list. He's not in This is actually interesting. That was a good point. As I'm trying to identify it, he's not on the qualifying list.
Many great folks
I
at
don't
Bass
think.
Pro
I
Shops,
think
Tractor and MB&A. Gentlemen, start your engines!
I think we'll probably have to do that because he's not on the entry list at all.
Business as usual today, buddy. Nice and easy. You received us a little stuck for it, buddy. You're ready to rock and roll.
Word has just come from Nick Baker himself. He's just going to go ahead and
Make sure you got a
opt
good
out
feel
of
for
this one and let everything resume as it is so that we don't have to re-qualify.
As the Charlotte winner from last season, put to race control for this one. It should be easier for the drivers this time, but we know Nick Baker.
Bummer. It's a strange thing to see a Solstice event without that 9 car out there, but here we go, getting ready to come back down and round number 2.
Let's try it again. It's almost like a NASA Rallycross race without the 51 or the 81s. Very odd to see. No Nick Baker, but he was having some control issues, and obviously the racing gods don't like him today. Mercurio and Smith down, leading us for the restart here in the Netherlands, going green again.
I think Dylan Smith not with quite the jump this time, not looking like he's going to clear the 41 into turn 2.
As Mercurio leads Dylan Smith, Lambert, and Cody Erdman. Jeremy Stanley inside of Sweeney tags him in the 99. He straightens him out though, and Poulin in the 21 had to get on the binders to not hit the 99. So now
very intense mid-pack racing so far.
We're gonna have a much calmer race. Mercurio, Smith, Lambert, Erdman, Columbia, the top 5. And
This corner that the leaders are going in, you have to watch. I've seen a few guys be able to go considerably faster through that corner by throttling and playing with the throttle, but they also have a tendency to spin off the corner if they carry too much speed. So that's going to be an interesting passing zone to watch tonight.
This hairpins, this is crazy. Because Mercurio and Smith and Lambert all on top of each other. That corner, that left into the right, you have to brake before the corner even gets to you, before you even get to the corner, to make the corner. And we're going to see these guys going all out over the curbs. No track limits, it looks like, here in the Netherlands. Erdman peeks to the inside of Lambert, nowhere close to making a move down there.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if it was caught on our broadcast angle in time, but getting into that corner, Dylan Smith tried to run it in a little hotter and gain a little time, actually ended up getting barely into the rear of the 41 and actually sped the 41 up off the corner, which has kind of allowed him to pull this 3-car length gap that he's maintaining right now.
Into the final chicane, Mercurio leads the first lap here in the Netherlands for car number 41 for the Advent Health Camry. The guy next to me actually painted that car, Mr. Body. I have to say, very great paint scheme for you.
Oh, thank you, sir. You know, we had it laying around. It's ironically, not to give any spoilers, but it's very similar to our paint scheme that we're going to run for our special Daytona Go this year when we try to go out there and see what we can do with these boys. And Brian messaged me and said he was in need of some cars that would make him look as fast as he felt, and we made it happen.
Dylan Smith second. Lambert third. This is the strongest I've seen Lambert in quite some time. We know the Solstice champion has had a rough season the last season and the start to this one.
Yeah, I was actually down with Lambert in the garage area earlier before we came back up to the booth to get ready for tonight's broadcast, and he was
Bergman around. Sorry, Dylan.
Trouble.
In the 52, the man from Wisconsin loops it.
Amazed he didn't hit anything. That tire wall is not very far off the track. For him to get it slowed down was just impressive.
As he's now going to be battling Joey Bailey and Bobby Sweeney, so he falls from, I believe, 4th or 5th. Right around there. If I look at timing and scoring, he was 4th last time around, and now he's going to be around 11th place. Not a good day for the 52.
Luckily it's a very long track. We got, quite a lot of time here still left in stage 1. Hopefully they can get in there, get it pitted, and get it back up to the front. Oh, Lambert tags the wall coming off the corner.
I know we're only 1 lap in at speed, but if we look at lap times, 134.5, Dylan Smith a 135.3. Let's take a look, 33.7 to a 32.9. Mercurio's 0.8 of a second faster than the rest of the field.
Yeah,
that's a little alarming.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a trend. He's been, in let's see, practice 1 he ran a 133.1, and then in qualifying he went out and ran a 132.6, and he's just been shaving time all day, and he didn't run that many laps. I feel like the longer he's on the track, the harder he's going to be to beat. These guys might have to try and figure something out.
Jake Poulin around in the 21 from 7th. He's going to fall way back to the tail end of the field. Our defending champion Michael Frisch now battling with Kyle Riley, that's Matt Wishart in the 32. Matt Wishart, I believe, making his first start this season, so good to see him return. But Frisch, and I know we talk so much about the defending champion. You have to, because obviously he's representing the sport, but he's just struggled considerably this season.
Yeah, we hate to, keep bringing up the same point, but it's really the most, incredible thing we have to talk about at this point in the season is just the guy who outright dominated these guys last year is just missing something so far this season.
Let's see and take a look here, because trying to find some notes on that, but we'll have to take a look in a moment. Let's see when the lap times refresh. 33 flat to a 33.5, so still half a second faster for Mercurio. As the field slowly gets spread out here, Wett's battling Bailey near the tail end of the field.
At the 21 on pit road.
As Dylan Smith from 2nd has spun it in turn 1. He took a little bit to get back going. I think he was waiting for the field to go by. But the man who was the closest to our race leader, I'll have to take a look on my monitor. He just locked up the rears. Poulin in the 21 on pit lane. So the former Solstice champion also not having a good day. So basically, don't win a Solstice championship because you got the worst luck, apparently, unless your name is Brandon Lambert.
Well, Lambert had, a not-so-great finish to the end of last season and wasn't, too extremely lucky in the beginning of this season. So, maybe his bad luck bug is just finally starting to run out. Maybe it's run its course.
As Lambert won in Season 5, remember. And Jake Poulin, a 4-time champion, tied with Ryan Williams for the most titles for Solstice Racing. Dylan Smith has looped it again in car number 1. And let me tell you from personal experience, and I think I've brought this point up, when Dylan Smith has a bad time, it just snowballs, and it gets worse and worse and worse.
It's something we've seen, this season even. The race after he got his win, he had horrible luck. The 2 races after his win, he had horrible luck, to begin this year. And I wonder if maybe it's if it's the slick tires since he got him hot from spinning, but he went around almost a 3rd time while he was trying to get it straightened out. And it looks like he's really still struggling to hold on to the car.
I think tire wear might be an issue today because he's skating around. Up front,
yeah,
Mercurio
it really looks like he's on ice in the corner.
Mercurio's a second faster than Lambert. 33.6 to a 34.6. That's the pace that I'm seeing from Mercurio, and it's not dropping off, is the real thing. It hasn't dropped off at all.
And he's not skating, he's not sliding. I don't see the car out of control. He's just running extremely fast, and he doesn't appear to be abusing any of his stuff. He has perfect entry into the chicane or the hairpin here.
Yeah, and Dylan, actually, what I think these drivers are struggling more with is the tire heat, not the tire wear. I think these tires are heating up a lot with these guys slipping and sliding around these corners, and Mercurio's been relatively smooth, steps out the back end there a little bit, but that definitely helps.
And this is going to be... Go ahead, Dylan.
Oh, I was just going to say, he seems to be, like, he definitely has the least slide in the corners out of everybody. And then when you look at Dylan, who just spun out and heated those tires up, like you said, Dylan, you know, he's really struggling with it. So it leads me to believe that you're right. I think the tire heat is a bigger issue so far than the wear tonight.
You know what I think about as Mercurio resets his lap time at 1:33.4. Let's see, as Rada's on pit lane on the 3, not really sure what's going on there. Lambert at 34.6. You know what I think about? I think about Jenson Button in F1, and if you don't know what I'm about to, if you don't know why I bring that up, I'll obviously let you know. Jenson Button, stupid fast. We know this. World champion 2009, won plenty of races. But he was extremely smooth and extremely easy on his tires. But he was also stupid fast. And that is what Mercurio is doing. He is smooth, he is fast, and he's not jerking on the controls of the 41. Kyle Riley, Bobby Sweeney, Cody Erdman battling for the 5th position here. As Erdman goes wide to try and get a better run off the corner. Bobby Sweeney not having
definitely agree with the Jenson Button statement. Definitely very reminiscent.
As Bobby Sweeney he's having a good run here. He talked about how, I'm going to have a horrible run. But he's certainly... Go over there if you want to talk. He's certainly not having a bad run. As he got by Erdman, and now he's battling with Kyle Riley. As Mercurio has opened up a 5.4 second lead over Lambert. 5.4 seconds, Dylan, that Mercurio has over Lambert. And we're only 6 laps in. As it resets the lap count, or the lap time, 33.8. Let's see what Lambert runs. 34.7. A second faster. Dylan Smith off of pit lane in car number 1. The lap, the gap now 6.31 seconds as timing has refreshed. 6-second lead. Blows my mind.
It's incredible. You know, we're a quarter of the way through lap 7. He's over almost 6.5 seconds ahead right now, probably by the way he's been tracking the last few laps. It's crazy. Starting to think maybe this is our new Michael Frisch for this season. You know, Brian showed up to do a race just for fun and fell back in love with it. Decided he wanted to come run with these boys and maybe run with them wasn't the right term. He's just showing them how it's done every time I see him on the track.
Speaking of our defending champion, Frisch has clawed his way past Bobby Sweeney. Now he's on the inside looking at Cody Erdman. He's going to be in the 7th position in a brand new livery for the 58. And he's got to do something to rejuvenate this season, but he's getting really close to Erdman, gives him a nudge in the 52. And we know the former NASA champion knows how to get it done on road courses. Shameless plug, we're starting up, not this Tuesday, but the following Tuesday, as we're going to restart in Croft for season 19. So that should be a great show. Everyone's welcome. Just look up North American Sim Racing Association on Facebook. You'll find the group. Join us, and boatload of fun there. Erdman to the inside of Kyle Riley. He peaked. He looked like he got a little loose under braking, but he did not take the advantage on the 77.
You know, I'm watching Dylan Smith, who, you know, unfortunately lost a lot of time. I don't know if he pitted or not after that accident, but he seems to have the car back under him, and he's running just about as fast, if not faster, than Stanley, who's in front of him. Looking like he's definitely found his speed again. Hopefully he can get back on the lead lap and maybe give Brian a run for this thing, make it interesting.
1 minute 34.198 for Mercurio. 1 minute 36.442 as Kyle Riley loops it in the 77. We just caught that. He got nudged by the 52 of Erdman. That's the second time they got close.
Yeah, that battle had really been heating up there for a few laps, and right when it started getting good, they had the incident in the turn there.
And Sweeney now trying to take the fight to the 58 of Frisch. Joey Bailey in 9th. So the two title protagonists from last season not having a good day, both the 51 and the 58.
Well, I'll tell you what, we talked at the beginning of the broadcast about how the 41 was not yet locked into the playoffs or even in the playoffs. Yeah, he's definitely making a case for why he should be here tonight.
As Columbia, Stanley, and Dylan Smith once again off the lead lap, but Stanley's faster than Columbia this last lap. He was about a second faster, dives to the inside of the 39. Will he make it stick? He gets loose, runs it off the corner, and he's going to get passed by the lap car of Dylan Smith. That was a very late maneuver, but he had to do it. Otherwise, both of them were going to be in the wall.
Yeah, and I want to take a second to talk about the 39, Arnold Columbia here. He wasn't really high on the chart in practice. I don't know if maybe he was just trying to get a feel for the course before he really dove into it, but started towards the rear and has just quietly worked his way all the way up here to the 3rd place and is appears to be reeling in Lambert slowly but surely here over the course of the stage.
He was a 10th down on Lambert, but Lambert is nowhere close to Brian Mercurio. 2 seconds faster was the 41 over the 46.
Yeah, just definitely be interesting to see if the 41 passes post-race technical inspection. I really don't know what else to say at this point. I haven't seen a car this dominant in a long time, if ever even.
Lucky for the stage break, because these guys would be lapped. You know what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton last week in the Hungarian Grand Prix. They were so fast, they lapped, I think, up to 4th.
Yeah, there weren't many cars, less than a handful left on the lead lap.
And after 9 laps, coming to 9 laps, Mercurio has a 10.5-second lead over Lambert. He's coming up nearly to Poulin to put him off the lead lap, so the 4-time champion in 13th.
Another interesting development, once again, sorry to get back on the Dylan Smith train, but he went under the 39 of Columbia about a lap ago exactly in this corner and has already put nearly 2 seconds on him and caught Brandon Lambert, showing he's definitely still got speed in that car. He might be able to get, definitely into the position for the lucky dog, as it doesn't seem like any lap car would even be able to compete right now.
Well, he has the first car 1 lap down, unless Mercurio catches Poulin. Matt Wishart's going to reemerge on the track. He had some transponder issues in the 32, had to take it down pit lane.
Looking like the 41's about 3.5 seconds behind the 21, or the 41 is behind the 21, so going to be very close for Dylan Smith to get the lucky dog in this scenario. We'll have to see what happens, how it unfolds.
Being 2 seconds a lap faster is pretty unheard of, though. I don't know if the 46 is going to move over for his teammate or what, but Dylan Smith is faster than Lambert by a long shot. And if Mercurio does not catch the 21 before the stage end, that puts the 1, I believe, as a lucky dog. He goes to the outside of his teammate here.
It looks like Lambert definitely let him go there. Just getting a nice teammate, let him go and continue with his race. It's not really affecting Brandon at all. So,
as Michael Frisch has made his way up to 5th, he's battling with Bobby Sweeney. We're going to focus on Columbia and Stanley. Stanley's got a great run off the corner, through the little chicane, and down to the final hairpin. Let's see if Stanley can make a move like he did a couple laps ago, getting very close to the 39, nearly bump drafting into the inside. Goes our winner from Texas.
A really good run this time. Looks like he got it woed down, and he's
going to hold the spot this time.
Yep. Perfect execution this time. You don't get it the first time, dust yourself off and go get him again.
It's so difficult with road racing, though, how you have to set up your maneuvers, and if you mess one up, it'll take a long time to get it back.
Yeah, we saw 2 laps to recover.
Dylan Smith, I thought, was going to loop it again. He has pushed it so hard in turn 1, nearly locked it up every lap. Brandon Lambert ran a 137.848, and Mercurio a 134.744.
Yeah, and it's I think Dylan Smith's running out of time here. The 41 is catching the 21 and catching him quick.
Well, Poteet is off the lead lap now in the 31. I believe he might have looped
the one
it.
Catching him. The 1 can probably get to him. I don't know if he'll be able to get to the 21.
Even then, I believe he could stay out and do the wave around. He's got a little bit fresher tires, and then just hope for another caution.
He pitted, so he might have the strategy advantage here.
As Rada's back on track. We got a couple people down on pit lane. Cole DeRozier, Kyle Riley. I think Kyle Riley's playing some strategy before the stage end. We're coming to lap 12 for Mercurio.
Mercurio's taking it really easy. I just heard him completely kill the motor going into that corner.
And he's playing some form of strategy.
Yeah, I don't know if he's trying to save some extra, or what his exact total plan is, but he's definitely putting the car in neutral or killing the motor going into these turns. It's completely dead silent when the car comes by.
We begin lap number 12. Let's take a look at his last lap, 1:37.532. I think he's saving some fuel.
Yeah, he's definitely saving as much as he can here. He's about 3 seconds off of his average lap time from this run.
Stanley is behind Lambert. Lambert ran a 1:37.1. Stanley ran a 1:36.6. Here's the kicker. Lambert wasn't clutching, as Stanley fighting with the 46 now. As Erdmann has spun it on the pit entry, guys, in the 52. So Erdmann not having a good day. He hit the throttle, it transitioned to concrete, and he looped it in the 52 car. And he's going to let...
The 41 is definitely taking his time in saving what he has. The 31 has gotten back around him.
He's letting Poteet through. Will he let the 1 through? I don't think that's a good idea. I honestly don't
think letting your biggest competition back on the lead lap is ever a good decision.
Because if I look at the fastest lap time...
one mistake.
Mercurio ran a 1:32.9. Dylan Smith just ran a 1:33.1. His fastest lap of the race was that last lap. He is 2/10 off in the fastest lap category from Mercurio. I mean, Mercurio's the one leading the race. We're the ones sitting in the comfy armchairs here in the commentary box, so he knows something that we don't. But
yeah, I'm wondering if maybe these guys are really close to making it on fuel, because a couple people jumped on pit road at lap 3 or 4. I'm wondering if they didn't think they could make the first stage on fuel, and maybe Brian is making sure that he can.
As 3 to go in stage 1, we're going to take lap 13. It goes to the end of lap 15, so you're in a 1:39.6. Dylan Smith 1:33.8. So as one around, Lambert has looped it on the final chicane coming to the start-finish line.
Oh.
And he hit the curb with the left rear and it sent him around. Jeremy Stanley gets by him. One's down pit lane, I believe. It's Arnold Columbia in the 39. He pits from 8th.
You guys, don't look now, but that number 1 is getting really big in the mirror of the 41 car.
As Mercurio puts Rada 3 laps down now, as Rada's having some issues. They're both clutching. I think Dylan Smith, because Smith pitted, he doesn't have to. He's got the fuel. That's probably what they're doing.
Yep.
Is clutching to make sure they make it on fuel.
Yeah, there's not a lot of throttle noise when you get into a multi-turn complex in the 41. It's very quiet. You can tell he's just coasting and really doing everything he can to make sure that he doesn't run out and mess himself up with this beautiful race that he's run so far.
I can tell you that if Dylan Smith gets back on the lead lap on merit, I'll call it merit, because Mercurio is having issues with fuel. We did get that confirmation from Brandon Nicholson down on pit lane. Smith's going to get back on merit, and I can tell you, if he does a differing strategy or even gets synced back up with the 41 strategy, it's not game over, but it's pretty close, because he's the only one that has caught the 41 on pace.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, he's pushing it now. I've seen him. He actually brushed the wall about a lap or so ago in one of the corner complexes, just lightly, nothing major, no damage or anything like that. But you can tell he's giving it everything he's got, and he's really figuring the track out. And still pretty early in this race. We're only about almost a third of the way through it here, and that's a lot of time left. And if he keeps figuring the track out, by the end of it, he might just have more than even Mercurio can handle.
Mercurio's got a 13-second lead over Jeremy Stanley in the 60. Who is getting very close to Michael Frisch in the 58. Frisch got really close to banging bumpers there with the 60. We got the 2 Fords duking it out for second here in the Netherlands. Defending champion versus winner from Texas. Stanley, as we talk about it, loops it. Does a 360. Loops it for a 720.
Oh, Joey Bailey narrowly scrapes by. Holy cow.
Bailey saved it. Stanley now goes from 2nd to 7th, it looks like.
Oh, we got the 77 around in a really tight part of the track up here.
Kyle Riley loops it. And maybe tires, because if I look, I think we got a tire down on the 77. The 77 did blow the right rear tire. And he's starting to crab walk down the runway.
Yeah, there is something amiss on that car. That thing is both sides, crab walking on each side.
As
Gonna try and limp it home to the pit lane.
Joey Bailey bumps the 46 of Lambert. That is for 4th. There's so much action going on here, we can barely keep up. Lambert
Lambert's
has
around
spun
from
it in the 46.
The slight contact with the inside wall looks like everything's good on the 46, though. He's gonna get it back going the right way. And
As Kyle Riley struggling to get this car back to the pit lane, he's got a decent gap.
Kyle
The
Riley
Stanley-
almost made it to the pits, and it went down and spun on him in the hairpin again.
I think Stanley has a tire blown out on his car. As
Stanley
Riley's gonna
very
make it to the
slow.
pit lane.
Looks like his car's trying to crab walk as well. I'd be willing to bet that's a tire again.
And he's gonna be on the ape. No, he stays wide. Good for Stanley. Stays wide, out of the way of the cars on the lead lap. I'll tell you what, we're gonna need this stage reset. Because while Mercurio has led every lap of stage 1, I think every other position has changed, as now Michael Frisch is in 2nd, 10.5 seconds behind Mercurio.
Yeah, how often do you hear something like that? In 2nd place, 10.5 seconds behind the leader.
Stanley did not pit, so I think he might have missed pit lane.
Go back and take a look here on my little personal monitor. Oh, and Wizard is into the wall here, racing with Lambert in the hairpin.
As Poulin loops it, Rado locks it up going into the final corner. I'm not sure what happened there. Looks like left front blown out. Hopefully this doesn't turn into a huge tire debacle, but Brian Mercurio comes off the final corner and wins stage 1 here in the Netherlands.
Yeah, impressive drive. Impressive's not even the word for it, man. Just dominating, I think, is the only word that's really fitting at this point. Beautiful stage from front to finish for Brian here in the number 41 Toyota.
As Frisch 2nd.
Yeah, I was
Third
gonna say,
is
look at that.
Wetz.
Surprised you didn't have more to say about that. Our old buddy Michael P. Frisch coming up here into the 2nd place, getting back up into the mix.
Bailey pits before the stage end. I'm not sure if that's allowed in the regulations or not. I'm sure. I don't know if it is or not. I know NASCAR closes the pits. I don't know if Solstice is that
Strict with it.
if that's strict. Yeah, Wetz apparently was very close to blowing a tire. Lambert in the 46 has looped it under caution. Let's try and bring in here our stage 1 winner. As Mr. Mercurio, it's Josh Mertz in the HVMP commentary box. I have to ask you, as we noticed you started clutching, what is going on track? A, with you being fast, but B, is there tire issues or what's going on?
So main thing was for the stage here. Kind of started noticing maybe 7 or 8 laps in the run that was going to be close on fuel. And then once I realized I built up a big lead, I was like, I might as well just start saving. So kind of got a little reckless at times, but I was saving fuel, so should be good getting back here to the pits at the end of the stage.
Is there some heavy tire wear? Because we've got a lot of guys spinning out and running it wide and everything like that.
Yes. I'm currently on almost blown out rear tires in the back. I've seen a lot of other guys have tire issues, so the last thing you want to be doing is locking up.
As obviously we don't want you to divulge all of your secrets, but what do you think you have over the rest of the field, man? I mean, 2 seconds a lap faster is pretty crazy.
I don't know. I just feel like I'm able to nail every corner and stay consistent. I notice a lot of guys will miss a corner here and there, and once you start getting out of rhythm, it's hard to get back in it. So I just try and stay and make sure I hit every corner back to back and just chain good laps together.
As Body, you got anything for our race leader?
Just keep making that paint job look good, man. It's been impressive to watch. Only thing is, did it make you nervous at all when the one car got his lap back? Because that man has been finding time that he didn't have earlier throughout the practice sessions, and it's looking like he might actually have something for you if he can get back to you.
Yeah, that's going to be the big thing. It's one thing if he catches me, but he might be using a lot of his tires trying to do so. So if he can do that and me and him have a good fight, kudos to him. But it's going to be up to him to at least get up here first before he even considers battling me for the win. Hopefully.
As Mr. Livingood, you got anything for our race leader before we let him go?
Yeah, if this next stage was some remote island somewhere and only one boat could come by, it either had tires or fuel in it, which one would you want to come by?
I need fuel, so I'll take that. But I've heard some other guys being able to manage on almost blown tires. I think the 71 was limping around there on, corded tires pretty much. So I would take the fuel. At this point, I think it's going to be one stop from here on out in terms of fuel. But the big thing is going to be, can you make it on tires that whole way?
All right, sir. We will let you go. Great run for stage 1 and try and keep it up.
All right. Thank you. Hopefully see you guys again at the end of the race.
That gives us some good insight as to what in the world has gone on. Joey Bailey did go down pit lane because he was out of fuel in the 51. I don't know if that's going to be a penalty. I feel like it will not be because he wasn't going to be able to make a round.
Yeah, I feel like at worst they might put him on the tail end before the real restart, but I think that's a situation where race control understands it's better to have somebody pit at a time where maybe they shouldn't than to have them run out and have to send a truck out to tow them back and slow down the caution period.
Even then, to be fair, what I would think, I mean, obviously we'll see here in a second, but I would think that they would just tell the 51, put 4 tires on it, and he lost 2 spots anyways. So, I mean, he's not going to really gain anything if he's on the same tires.
I don't think it's a situation where even if he is gaining something, I don't think it's going to last long enough that it's going to affect the outcome in any way. I think it'd be best just to let it ride, because it looks like he came down pit road again with the whole group, so,
He did. Kyle Riley, Steve Rada have stayed out. Jeremy Stanley.
Arnold Columbia pulling some pit strategy here?
He might have taken 2 tires. We'll have to take a look and see.
That seems very risky to me with what we've just heard from our...
he took fuel only.
Wow.
Unless I think when he pitted earlier, though, he was on a different strategy. Because remember, he pitted. So this is going to be interesting. I love road course racing because of this strategy, but if this tire degrades, it's a very grippy tire. When I ran earlier, it was very grippy, but grippy tires equals not lasting very long. So we know typically Goodyear brings a hard tire with the NASCAR Cup Series. I'm not sure what they bring for Solstice, but obviously it's pretty soft if it's degrading, so crazy.
Yeah, and I think one of the other things that these guys are struggling with, too, is the transition from the asphalt onto the concrete. Concrete seems to be a little bit slicker in some of these corners. But you're right, Josh. With a really soft tire, that's kind of what happens. You build a lot of heat in the tire, and then it falls off really quick. And then it quickly, what you had 2 or 3 laps ago, quickly becomes something that you don't have as soon as the tires heat up. They just get really greasy.
As I know... Obviously, you've been manning the controls for the broadcast, and you've also been analyzing while you're telling us of all these fun events going on the racetrack. Is there anything that you've seen that Mercurio has over the rest of the field?
Honestly, it seems like he's not pushing as far into the corner as a lot of these other guys are. And, I mean, we saw it work for Dylan Smith, but, he's spun around and he had ground to make up. That's not going to be acceptable here in this next stage, so... I think we won't see another Dylan Smith story happen again. But these guys are going to have to learn how to manage those tires, and maybe if we get a late race caution, what Dylan Smith learned earlier might come into his advantage here against the 41 coming up, so it's going to be interesting to see.
Looks like, I believe we're going green this time, or doubling them up. We're waiting for the field to catch back up, so... Beginning stage 2, the final stage, here in Valkenburg in the Netherlands. Arnold Columbia is going to be leading over Brian Mercurio, who has led every lap under green. I believe Columbia wanted to get those bonus points as well. So Frisch, Sweeney, Erdman, Poulin, Wishart, Bailey, Lambert, as Stanley, Dylan Smith, Steve Rada, Kyle Riley, Chris Wetz, Cole DeRozier. Wetz was in second, and he pitted, and I think he stayed in his pit box. We'll have to look. Dylan Poteet, I believe, should be back on track as well. He was having some transponder issues, had to run it down pit lane. So We'll have to see. That first stage, very much entertaining, very entertaining because of the strategy, because of the differing lines, because of the differing tire wear. And this time there's not going to be a stage break. So we'll have to see who will come out on top with tire management. We know that's going to be the big thing. Everyone's good on fuel. As the race leader, stage 1 winner said, Columbia and Mercurio, front row of the grid. Green flag.
Yes.
Frisch got a bad restart in the 58, stacked up the inside into turn 1.
Gonna clear the way for Mercurio to get the line that he wants, though, to get the run off here and try and challenge the 39 to take this lead back.
We'll have to see if Mercurio can work well in traffic. Exiting the pit lane is Poteet in the 31, so I don't think he's going to be penalized. He just had to wait until the field goes by. Mercurio on the outside tried to make something happen, thought better of it, as Columbia all the way out to the wall.
Thought better of it is an understatement, man. If he had been there, that would have been the field. That would have been bad, the way the 39 slid up off that corner. Wise decision by the 41 to back out of it.
And we know Mercurio's stupid fast. To the outside, it's going to be the inside. He does the switch on the 39 into the hairpin. Can't make it happen yet.
Now we get to see how the 41...
One to the inside. It's Riley up and... Or sorry, Wishart who mounts the wall in the 32. He ramped the curb. And he might have to get the marshals to take him off the wall.
Now, I thought this might be a little bit less intense of a start after everybody saw the mess in the original one, but these guys seem like they're respectfully going even harder than they did during the first restart.
I think Wishart locked up the left front and he ramped the curb. That's my only personal concern with having such tall curbs, is if you hit it the wrong way, you're gonna ramp it. You know what I think about? I think it was the F3 race when one of the drivers, she ended up in the fence after launching off the curb.
Yes, I remember that accident. The car just hit the curb, launched airborne, and was caught up in the fence barrier at the end at the runoff. That was insanity.
As Erdman, I think, is going to be sent to pit lane. Transponder on the 52, not playing nice. Columbia not playing nice with Mercurio, not giving him a lot of room into turn 4.
This race is very reminiscent to me of the NASCAR Cup Series at Watkins Glen this past weekend, where you could be the fastest car on the track, and as soon as you get to the back bumper of that guy that's in front of you, now you're second fastest. You're not getting around.
Title rivals from last season, Bailey and Frisch, battling for the 3rd spot, so we can't count them out. We've got 25 laps to go. That's a long time. Sorry, 22 on a road course. And Mercurio to the inside. He's got the better run this time, but he still can't make it happen. Trying to close the door. Frisch to the inside of Bailey, trying to make the move for 3rd. And Mercurio can't get it done. Columbia had the better run off the corner.
Oh, and Michael Frisch got a good line on the 51. Made him breathe the throttle going into the little chicane there a little bit. Kept them door to door. This is getting really interesting for 3rd.
We've got a great camera that's facing the runway here. Down, coming to the final hairpin. Mercurio outbraking on the outside. If he can get this move to stick, it'll be reminiscent of Fernando Alonso in F1. He's got the move on the outside, but he can't make it stick. Columbia holds it.
Yeah, Columbia just has that advantage of being out front and just enough that he can really kind of pick and choose his exit line and block whatever move that he sees coming from the 41. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of strategy Mercurio comes up with to try and get around him here.
As Matt Wishart, I believe that car's finally been towed back to the pit lane. Kyle Riley had some transponder issues, so did Erdman. They're back on track. A lot of guys having some issues with timing and scoring. And this is, I'm going to try and say this without sounding too horrible. Columbia's fast, yes, but we know he's slower than Mercurio. I say this because look at the top 5. They have accordioned into the leaders because Mercurio cannot get by Columbia, and everybody else loves this.
It's definitely keeping everybody else a lot closer to contention than they had been.
As Mercurio locked up the left rear, it looked like he nearly looped it, and here comes Bailey. Bailey gets close and nearly tags the 2nd place man.
Yeah, if Bailey had hit that curb a little harder, he would have went right up on top of the 41.
Bailey, Frisch, and Sweeney, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Columbia leads Mercurio.
You know, that's another interesting thing we haven't really spoken about yet here with this airport course. All the walls are very confined,
Columbia
And,
defends. Sorry to interrupt you. Columbia defended on the inside. He's got the run into the corner, but Mercurio outbroke him. Into the corner. Can he hold it on the outside? Through the double apex right hand. We're coming to the final chicane. Columbia tags Mercurio, and Columbia's not giving up that easy. This is amazing driving from Arnold Columbia to hold off the man who was 2 seconds a lap faster than everybody else.
Yeah, it just goes to show you that track position is definitely still king in stock car racing.
He's getting close. Did he nudge him? He nudged Columbia.
He nudged him!
Around he goes. And he did not hit the 41. I thought he was going to hit the bumper.
Oof.
Bailey to the inside of Mercurio, and Columbia's run comes to an end so far.
Yeah, unfortunate to see that happen. Incredible performance there from the 39 for the last few laps.
He's in
Unfortunate to see the
sixth.
battle end that way.
He's not too far back, but now Bailey's got to
managed to
try
keep
and
going.
hang on to the 41.
Yeah, and you know, Josh, we were talking in that interview when we were talking to him about how saving tires are key, and he'll just take the fuel. Well, now he's really running into an issue where he's burned through his tires already, and you can see because the 51 and this whole top 5 is breathing down his neck right now.
As Bailey, Frisch, Sweeney, Dylan Smith, where have we seen him before in the
Yeah.
5th spot?
And you know, another thing that Brian spoke to us about during our stage break interview was that rhythm. Rhythm is the most important thing. Hitting your marks, being consistent. And he just went 3-4 laps in an intense battle, trying everything he could to get around. And now he's got to calm down, get the nerves back to where they need to be, and start hitting those marks again. And you know, it's not always an easy transition. And you can see the 51's still hanging in here 2-3 car lengths behind.
I'll
You
tell you
know-
that final chicane. Sorry, go ahead, Dylan.
And you know, Dylan, I mean, as me being, kind of up here, like being on the pit boxes and stuff and analyzing and stuff, I wonder if the 41 can cool his tires back down before he does any damage to them, or if he's already abused them too much to where they're not going to come back.
Yeah, that's another valid point. You know, if they're already scorched and to the point where they're not going to come back to life for him, it's going to make it really interesting here until we get to another pit stop to see, you know, how far does he slide or how well can he hold on.
Because with all those lockups and everything, that does nothing more than just, light a fire underneath the tire. I mean, if you run on these flat corners, you're going to pick up 2-3 degrees in the tire just by going around the corner. But when you lock it up, you're spiking at 7-8 degrees, and that's really hard to come back from.
As soon as you blister it, it's cooked. You're not bringing it back. I mean, these tires, the way they're behaving, I'm noticing, I want to say they're just like Pirelli's in F1. You scorch those soft tires in F1, and you're not getting anything out of it. Mercurio locked up the left rear in the 41, and Bailey loves this. He is so much quicker, it looks like. He was a 10th up on Mercurio that last lap as we look down the runway. And Bailey, I think, is going to set him up for a move here. Car length back.
It looks like Bailey's buying his time, trying to make sure he's got the move exactly in the corner where he wants it, where he feels the most comfortable. Interesting to see, too, both of our lead cars sporting green and blue and white paint schemes.
As Wishart's still in the pit lane, I think they're trying to investigate why the suspension or something like that. I would imagine the suspension's kind of broken after mounting the tire wall. I don't know. As Stanley, what has happened with Jeremy Stanley in the 60? He pulls it off the track. The camshaft has blown it on the Texas winner.
Oh, unfortunate to see for Stanley, you know, always here showing up and putting on a good performance.
Our
Rough
first
to see
retirement
from him.
of the evening. Last lap, Bailey was 0.2 of a second faster than Mercurio. It was a 1:33.234 to a 4:54 for Mercurio. And Joey Bailey.
No, but Bailey's also in the position. That Brian was stuck in a few laps ago, where he's definitely the faster car, but he just can't seem to get around him.
Here's the thing, though, because now Mercurio used up all his stuff, and Dylan Livingood, you can agree with me if I'm translating this right, because I know you're good at this kind of stuff. But Mercurio used up all his stuff trying to fight Columbia, so now if he has to push to stay in front of the 51, he's got nothing to push with.
Yeah, and exactly, because it becomes a progressive scale where, he already used all that up on the top half of that, and Bailey still has some left where, you know, you're fighting with very little to try to stay in front of the car in front of you. And really, we're not seeing the same amount of tire spin and lockup that we saw out of the 41 behind the 39. So I think here in a couple of laps, it's going to play more into the 51's favor here as the tires wear down a little bit more. I mean, like we were talking, at the end of that stage, we were on cords, and we got to figure out when to pit here. So it's going to be interesting to see when these drivers make that call and when those tires get low enough on grip to where they feel like if they had fresh ones, they could get some faster laps and kind of make some time up that way.
As Mercurio 0.2 up on Joey Bailey in the 51, we're going to bring in Jeremy Stanley, who retired from the race. Jeremy Stanley, it's Josh Mertz up in the commentary box. We saw you had a camshaft issue in the 60. You were doing very well. What happened to you?
I'm not sure if it was the previous damage from before the segment ended there. Had a couple tires go down. Everything ran fine after the restart. The car was running good. I was actually saving the tires a lot better and holding a more consistent lap time. And just hit the corner and it just failed.
Did you? Because I noticed before I think the stage ended, did you blow some tires? But then you didn't pit, so I wasn't sure what had happened there.
I ended up pitting after the caution, but I blew a tire with 2 laps to go in the stage, and I just kind of nursed it around because I didn't want to go lap down and everything. So I just kind of nursed it around really slow around the track and made it before I got lapped down.
Body, you got anything for Jeremy?
Yeah, I just wanted to say props on that, man, because we were watching about a quarter of the track ahead of you. The 77 actually had the same problem, had a tire go down, looked like the left rear, and he was looping it here and there, trying to get in back to the pits, and your car looked really smooth. And I just wanted to say, props for driving that hurt thing back around like that, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. The old soft touch to the pedal works wonders sometimes. And there's more right-handers than left-handers here, and my left tire blew, so I was able to take the right-handers a little quicker, so that kind of helped out a little bit as well.
There's one last thing I want to ask you before I let you go. Obviously, we've seen that it's a difficult track, obviously because of the tire blowouts, but, I mean, how hard is it to drive this track? I mean, is it really the tire wears that bad, or the tire heat?
A little bit of both. It's like there's a lot of sharp corners, and so there's a lot of tire spin on exit. If you really want to get some good speed, try to beat everyone off the corner. You try to get on the throttle a little better, and the tire spin it kills. And then when your back tires give out, then they have to compensate with the front tires, and then it wears out real quick, especially at the end there.
All right, buddy. Unfortunately, rotten luck today, but hopefully you have better luck next week in Milwaukee. Thanks for talking to us.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Looks like Mercurio has pulled out to a little bit further of a lead. He was 0.6 up on Bailey last lap. It was 0.94 of a second. Let's see what it refreshes to. Ending lap 25. 34.1 to a 34.6. So that lead 1.47 seconds. Half a second.
Yeah, and touching on what Dylan was talking about before we got Jeremy up in here to have a little combo with us. The pit strategy thing is something I've been thinking about here, and it's really a big window for strategy. Try and take advantage, and we saw what the 39 could do when he got out front. And if you can time that and you can get yourself out front, you don't even have to be nothing but a mid-pack car, and you might really be able to hold these guys off just by having that clean air and the ability to really pick your exit line off the corner.
I want to say, because it's hard to tell under green what the delta would be until one of these guys pits. But I'm thinking Mercurio, honestly, is going to be put back to Columbia. I want to say it's about 20 to 30 seconds to pit. So obviously, and what's interesting is the guy who pits first is going to be benefited right now, but then it's going to hurt him. We saw with Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen. Verstappen did not pit. Lewis did, caught him in 20 laps.
If I'm these guys that are running 6th through about 9th right now, maybe, I'm just biding my time. I'm going to take care of what I have. I'm going to wait for that first car to pit, and then I'm going to wait as long as I possibly can to maximize how much of a gap I'm going to be able to capitalize on, because it doesn't take long for these guys to really get their tires evened out. So if you can wait 3 or 4 laps after the first guy pits, you might be at a massive advantage if you can get in a quick pit stop and get back out there.
As the damage for Matt Wishart and his team was too much to repair. 32 has retired from the race in 16th. Jeremy Stanley in 15th. Gap is 1.6 seconds from Mercurio to Bailey. It was 0.2 faster that Mercurio was over Bailey.
Yeah, he's definitely seems to have gotten back into his rhythm for a few laps there. Actually, ironically, right as Jeremy was talking about the tire spin off the corner, I was watching the 41, and he definitely had some chirping off the corner. Seems like he's kind of gotten that back into control here and really settled back into his rhythm, and knows that the race is back in his hands now, and he's just doing what he did the whole first stage, you know?
It's just crazy to see how the momentum shifts. I consistently think about Michael Frisch and how the defending champion, as I have to interrupt myself, Poulin looks like he hit the wall in the penultimate chicane, the one near the final hairpin, hit the wall. He's going to be in front of the leaders. I consistently think about how hard it is to defend a championship. And Michael Frisch, yeah, he's in third, but he's a second off the pace, second off the leaders, and it's good to see him up front. But I'm also thinking that Mercurio wins in Phoenix and suddenly gets a shot in the arm from the momentum, and here he is.
Yeah, winning can do a lot for you, especially, for a guy like Brian who wasn't, hadn't been here in a while, decided he was going to come out and run another run with these guys that he had raced with before and, was fairly familiar with. And, when you come back and you have a race as outstanding as he had in Phoenix, it really motivates you to come back out and keep running because you realize that you have something. And, I think he realized that he had a potential, really, even though he started late, he could come in here and really make a run at this championship and make this thing interesting. And he gets another win like this in dominating fashion tonight. My real question is, what does that do for everybody else's morale to see that this guy just came in and instantly went straight to the top of the chart in dominating fashion? Is that going to motivate someone to really step their game up, or are some of these guys going to kind of tuck their tail and just ride out the season?
Frisch pits. He was 4.4 seconds as of last lap. The timing and scoring refreshed to 36.42 as he crossed the line. So simple math, if my math's correct, that's 22 seconds, but he's not done with pit lane. So I'm thinking the delta's 30 to 35 seconds. We'll have to wait and see when Mercurio crosses the line and when Frisch crosses the line. Because whatever time, obviously, that Frisch crosses the line at, we'll subtract 4 seconds off of. So then we have to look at Bailey and Mercurio because
I'm thinking, honestly, that our time is going to probably be, I think you're right, around 35 to 42 second range is about, I think, they're going to be what our time exchange is here.
And Rada pits from 13th. He's been struggling all evening long. We'll have to really just focus. Honestly, if I was Bailey, I would do what Lewis and Mercedes did in Hungary. I'd pit. Your tires are done, at least from what I've obviously observed. I would pit now, get the fresher tires, and get by Mercurio. Because when you're going to make up all this time, he was 0.4 of a second faster than Mercurio that last lap.
Yeah, I definitely see that point. I think another issue, though, that might be holding him up right now is we're at 29 out of 42. Great, that's fine and dandy. If we go to overtime, you're going to have to clutch for 7-8 laps, I think, to be able to make up the run of 16 laps under green here, because 15 was cutting it really short for a lot of those guys. We saw Joey Bailey run out as he took the green and white checkered flag at the end of the stage there. So
timing and scoring updates for
Mercurio runs it wide and a little sideways in the hairpin. That's going to allow Bailey to gain some time.
Frisch updated timing and scoring. Delta's 40 seconds for pit lane.
Hey, what a guess.
That's a huge delta, but you got to think pit lane speed, I think, is 35 miles an hour.
I mean,
basically,
really, it seems huge, but it's less than half a lap, really, when you think about it. So it's not that bad. It just seems bad because of the amount of time it takes to get around here.
Yeah, but guys, what I think the top two is going to do here is, if you look at all the fall-off, if you look at the amount of fall-off of the top two versus the rest of the field, they're only falling off a couple of seconds. The other guys are falling off about 2.5 to 5 seconds per lap. But I think these guys might be able to stretch it a lot farther into this run and kind of have a more balanced car at the end, where they might be able to leapfrog some of those guys who get an advantage early on by pitting.
And Bailey was a second faster this last lap. I have to retract my statement. It's almost better for him to run on these tires if he's cooled them back down. And it's interesting, we have to retract our other statement because we talked about how you can't cool these tires down. Maybe he has. I have to think that his tires were cooked when he was trying to catch the 41.
Yeah, and that's going to be the key here after this last pit stop is really how do you manage that last set of tires so you don't make those same mistakes and so you have all that you can get at the very end.
You know, I saw Bailey had that advantage of he kind of got separated from the cars he was racing with behind the 41 and the 39 like 2 laps before, so maybe he had a little more time to get his tires back in check. But also, and he's going to do it
Mercurio does it again.
2 laps in a row. I think this is the biggest thing. I think Mercurio's back tire is shot because that car is plumb sideways when he gets off the throttle and throws it into the turn down there.
Now this is what Bailey's got to do. If I was Mercurio's crew chief, I would say we got to pit now. Bailey should not pit. Bailey should push this tire for another couple of laps to get the delta over him and do the undercut. This is what fascinates me about road racing. Living Good, you know this. You know I love this strategy.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, honestly, this is what makes road racing so exciting. I mean, and here we're even seeing a little bit of side-by-side battle, and we see a little
in pit lane.
You called it, Josh. The 41 knew time was over. I got past. It's time for me to get on pit road and get me some new equipment. And the 51 now has just got to push as hard as he can without hurting his stuff and gain as much time as possible so he can make the undercut and be there at the end in the position to hold off the 41.
People tell me that, oh, road racing, F1, you pass in the pits. Yeah. But racing's not all about the driver. Racing's about the team. Racing's about the mechanics down on pit lane, making the pit stop, getting the tires replaced. We'll have to look at the 41 to see. Our race leader, Joey Bailey, got the pass done because Mercurio ran it wide. Those tires were screaming for help, and I think Bailey ran a 136.1 that last lap. Obviously, we can't tell if he was faster than Mercurio because Mercurio was on pit lane for 10 seconds of that lap. But we'll just have to wait for the delta. I want to say Lambert already pitted. He's 20 seconds behind Bailey, although he couldn't have pitted, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to get confirmation from Brandon Nicholson down on pit lane. Mercurio did clinch most laps led. So second is Lambert tentatively. Third is Frisch. Fourth is Mercurio. So Mercurio is already clutching, and he has dropped to fourth.
Seems like he's really just trying to take care of what he has the most. I think he learned how racing hard hurt him in that first run of this second stage of the run.
Bailey pits, gentlemen.
Oh, interesting. I expected Bailey to be on track another 2 to 3 laps.
2 to 3 laps would have been too long. He got the gap. He got the pass done, and now he's got to hope that this team's going to get the car, change the tires, and back out onto the track. We'll have to look at Lambert because Lambert has not pitted in the 46. So unless he pits now, which he will not, this might actually affect the 51. 51 on pit lane. Lambert is going to cycle to the race lead, but he's only half a pit stop down. He's going to lose the lead, obviously, when he pits. Frisch with Mercurio. I don't think Frisch is pitted either. I think the race leader might be Mercurio unless the 51 can get dropped and he can get sent. Has Mercurio got the gap on those new tires?
And you know, with how slow the 41 was going, it's going to be
He's got to get to the end of the commitment line, and it's not going to work. Mercurio back to the lead.
Oh, and that is a big-time loss on the gamble for the 51.
The 58's in the way. We know he's on older tires. I thought he had the Delta, but he must have lost it waiting to pit.
He's not far behind. He can definitely still do something with it. He's got the clean track and has the advantage of the 58 being in front of the 41, which should hold the 41 up because he doesn't want to battle hard and wear out his stuff. He learned his lesson in the last part of the run.
With the 77 at Kyle Riley, looks like there's damage, heavy damage. I want to say, I think the throttle might have stuck on that car. And obviously he's going to be out. Mercurio now has to dispatch the 58 of Frisch. If he's going to be stuck behind him, this is going to pull Bailey back up, and it's going to let Bailey try and take the lead.
Yeah, and I understand the sense of urgency. If I'm him, I want to get around the 58 as fast as possible, but also what happened with the 39 is in the back of my head. You know, are you going to wear your stuff out trying to get around him like you did last time? And then that's even more advantage for the 51.
Frisch defends the inside.
Here we go.
Unless he pits, this is for the race lead because Lambert pits in the 46. Frisch is going to push the 41 out wide, and Frisch not giving up. Defending champion, trying to get his season back, and Mercurio clears him.
What a maneuver on the outside of 2 corners keeps the momentum to pull the lead back.
Mercurio back to the lead. Lambert passed. He didn't have the delta. And now, 33.9. Bailey ran a 2-minute lap. That was his pit stop lap, though. That's not going to hurt him. That's not going to help him, rather. And Dylan Smith getting very close to him.
Yeah, Dylan Smith's
Joey
coming
Bailey
in.
blew 4th gear, gentlemen.
Oh no! Horrible news from Joey Bailey.
Just came over the scanner, and that's gonna that really seals his race, because
Yeah, long
when I ran
straightaways
these,
here.
you need your 4th gear going,
Yes.
obviously down the straightaways, especially down the runway there. So
Yep.
unfortunate for the 51. If he didn't have bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all.
I know, we keep saying it, and
I think the caution's out here, gentlemen. Unless that was misspoke. Let's look. It was the 39 and the 21. So Arnold Columbia and Jake Poulin in turn 1.
Yeah, another unfortunate.
They
piece
come
of the
together.
evening.
We're racing back, and this is going to neutralize the field. And guess who benefits from this? Michael
You.
Frisch,
Michael Frisch, multiple cars.
because he did not pit, and he gets the track position back.
Yeah, very, very true. You gotta expect that everybody's gonna dive down pit road and at least top off on gas, maybe get 2 tires here. So
I'd get 4, personally.
yeah, I want 4 especially if I'm one of the front guys that I know I'm gonna be in the mix for this. I want 4. Maybe if you're in the back and you're one of those guys who's maybe trying to make something happen, you go for 2 and see if you can hold them off.
And, well, while there's good luck for some people, there's also bad luck. Brandon Lambert just pitted, and the caution comes out.
Oh, unfortunate for Brandon. And Senor Lambert not having the best luck here this evening. It was looking really good early. Unfortunate to see that break.
As Mercurio, Frisch, Dylan Smith, Joey Bailey. Bobby Sweeney quietly in 5th.
Yeah, Bobby Sweeney was talking earlier about he wasn't very confident in his abilities at this speedway. Hadn't been out on the track in a while, but has been proving that it's like riding a bike. Once you got it, you got it. Just got to get out there and put it to use.
As I'm not sure if the directors picked up a replay. Dylan, if you have, you can go ahead and make note of it there, but I believe Poulin just cut across Columbia's nose.
No, the contenders in this race have really changed a lot throughout the evening here, but got a big 4 up here in the front, and it's going to be an interesting race. These 4 guys all want the win. They're all hungry. They're all trying to make it in and give a run for this championship. And Dylan Smith looking for some redemption after he had a hot start to the year and a string of bad luck.
Yeah, Josh, I do apologize. My microphone got a little bit twisted there, but yeah, we did manage to get a replay. Basically, the only thing I saw in that replay is that Poulin may have had a problem, because it looks like he slowed way down on the front stretch. I don't know if he was trying to nurse back around a tire that was getting ready to blow or something like that, but just came back up across the 39. Not sure what happened there.
So this is going to reset the field, coming to 8 laps to go. Mercurio, Frisch, Dylan Smith, Bailey, Sweeney, Wetz, Lambert, Columbia. We're going to be, looks like Poteet, Poulin, Rada, DeRozier, and Erdman. 3 retirements from the race: Kyle Riley, Jeremy Stanley, and Matt Wishart. We had Nick Baker, who, due to a geological oddity, wasn't allowed to grid apparently, so the 17th car never got down to the green flag. I'm going to be interested to see if the 51, if he's going to be able to get that 4th gear repaired. It's obviously damn near impossible to do on pit line. I've seen it happen, but that's the only hope for the 51.
Well, I feel like now's as good a time as ever to say I have seen stranger things. Season 3 was very good. It would be almost a miracle and a massive stretch if that were to happen, but these teams have gotten so good at repairing almost anything under the car within a very short amount of time. It's definitely possible.
Let's see who pits, and let's see who doesn't, to roll the dice here in the Netherlands. Mercurio pits. Frisch waited till the last second. I was going to question if he didn't pit. Dylan Smith, Bailey, everybody pits. Poulin stays out. We're the Netherlands, so basically Chris Wetz is going to win. NASA Rallycross reference there that Mr. Livingo don't think is
yeah,
funny.
I mean, if history goes the way that it goes, then I'd put my money down on Wetz.
See if there's going to be any strategy.
Wetz has been quietly in the mix. One of those guys that's really good at maintaining his stuff, from my experience, and also a guy who's not afraid to employ some strategy. So, maybe he makes a move to try and get up here and mix it up with these guys. He's been quiet all night.
Yeah, and honestly, Dylan, I think Wetz is the most underrated person of that first stage. So, I think he has something still left to say. So,
he's adamant about not going out in qualifying.
I think Frisch only took 2 tires. I'll have to look. Frisch only took 4. Frisch took 4. Comes out second.
Michael P. Pit Squad. Awesome pit. Not enough to get by the 41 in that first stall advantage.
Mercurio, Frisch, Dylan Smith, Bobby Sweeney, Joey Bailey. I don't think they were able to fix that car, so we'll have to see if the 51's going to run to the back or if he's just going to try and make it to the end to get the points.
Well, as long as he can nurse it around and not lose an absolute extreme amount of time, it's looking like he's going to get out of here with a top 10 at the worst. So maybe just going to the back and limping it home is the safest bet.
As glad you could join us here on High Voltage Media Productions here in the Valkenburg Airport here in the Netherlands. Dylan Body, Dylan Livigood, Josh Mertz up in the commentary box, Brandon Nicholson down on pit lane. It's been a crazy race so far. Tire failures, tire heat, tire wear, fuel, pit stops, crashing, whatever. It's like a YouTube tag section, basically.
Anything that can go wrong has gone wrong. We're going to rename this track Murphy's Law Airport. I'm sure that's the way a few of these drivers are feeling.
I think Poulin's staying out because I think he pitted because he was the cause of the caution. So maybe it's going to be some strategy for the 21, unless I think he was just put him back on the lead lap. So I stand corrected there.
Yeah, I think he took the get back on the lead lap initiative there and is circling around.
So as a reminder, timing and scoring might say till lap 45. We are not going until then. That is built-in overtime. We are going till lap 42. Once we hit 43, checkered flag flies, race is over. So, quick math, about 8 laps to go, and Mercurio has been the dominating force. I haven't seen Frisch on fresh tires racing for the lead, but he's got to rejuvenate his season somehow. Granted, we're only 3 weeks in, but disappointing results for the defending champion is not, obviously, what a defending champion wants to see.
Frisch definitely expected to come out hot out of the gates and defend that championship. Been a little bit of a bad luck as we get into the meat of the season here. It's looking to mount the comeback charge and start the march to the top here tonight.
And we talked about Dylan Smith when he looped it from second in turn 1. He is fast as well. If he can get a good jump on this restart, that's going to be huge because we know he'll slice it to the inside and 3 wide into turn 1. We haven't seen it, but we saw the first lap before the race restarted. We saw the first lap on the restart.
Yeah, also keep in mind from that last restart, Josh, Frisch got a really bad restart. And if that happens, it's going to allow the 1 to get into that position almost that the 41 had last time and really be able to pick and choose where he wants to attack the leader, which is really interesting.
I'm glad you brought that up because I did forget that. We saw Frisch spin the tires, but maybe that was Warren tires. But
yeah, that's very true. He hadn't pitted. That could have been.
We'll just have to see. There are 10 cars out of 16 still on the lead lap. I would say realistically, this is Mercurio's race to lose, and it's Frisch's race to rejuvenate his season. We're coming to lap 36 of 42 here in the Netherlands. Getting to the restart zone. Everybody bunching up. We're back green. Frisch did it again, and Mercurio gets a huge start.
Yep, I told you, be on the lookout. Frisch did not seem strong on the restarts here. Oh, and Smith seems like he locked him up getting into the turn there a little bit. Not looking good here. These guys need to get on the 41 if they're going to want to have anything for him here in these last few laps.
Sweeney to the inside, slices between the 51 and the 1. Good move for him. And Mercurio, that was the best thing we could have seen for his sake at least, as he's got, I want to say, 2, 3, maybe 5 car lengths now. He's stretching the gap.
Yep, back in the position he's been in all night where he can just relax. He knows this race is in his hands, hit those marks like he talked about, and consistency has been the key tonight, and he's had it.
I almost think that Frisch pulled over for Dylan Smith because Smith got a huge run off the corner.
Yep, and he had no contention in that last corner when he got that run. I think Frisch knows that if anybody's going to have anything, it's going to be this one. And a great run into the hairpin turn here for the one car.
I'm going to keep an eyeball on Joey Bailey. While it's not for the victory, we'll have to see if the 51 crew was able to somehow fix that gear. Remember, he blew 4th gear. This is going to be crucial down this straightaway because if we see the 51 pull over, we know that it was not fixed.
Definitely slow, losing a lot of time.
Oh yeah, it was not fixed.
Definitely just trying not to kill it by screaming it in 3rd.
As Frisch battling with Sweeney for 3rd. He'll still get a podium finish. But Mercurio pulling away. Every time I see the pit entry, I keep thinking they're going to commit to the pit lane entry. I keep forgetting NASCAR has a little bit more lenient rules than F1, because if you hit the pit lane entry, you're pitting in F1. There's no decision about it.
Yeah, thankfully with, you know, the airport course with the layout being the way it is, it was very difficult for them to find a pit road to put in, and that's why, you know, it's very awkward there. It looks like they're coming to pit road almost every time when they come off the turn high. And, you know, thankfully we don't have the F1 rules package here in Solstice. That would be a horrible thing for these guys. A lot of guys would have had penalties.
Obviously, it was a restart. Dylan Smith was 0.5 of a second slower than Mercurio, but he's keeping up. And Frisch is just waiting for these guys to make a mistake.
Yeah, I think Frisch's best course of action is just to ride with what he has, hold his position, and hope these guys get up here and get racing and give him a chance to come up and capitalize.
Can we talk about how Bailey is stupid fast on the interior when he has the gears, and then he loses all his momentum down the runway? Because he's still in 5th, guys.
Yeah, it's like he loses the time on the straightaway, but not enough that he's out of the group of 3 that he's running with. And then throughout the corners in, you know, the big corner complexes here, he's right back on these guys. Off the corner, he still has all the speed in the world in the lower gears. He just, you know, can't get up into 4 because it's not there. And it's unfortunate. You know, that car might have really had something for these guys.
Well, and also, to be honest with you, A, he was one of our fastest drivers before that happened, and B, if you have half a track, you don't really have to worry a whole lot about tire wear on. I mean, it evens things out a little bit.
Yeah.
Half a second down again was Dylan Smith on Brian Mercurio. Mercurio, 132.194, fastest lap all night.
Yeah, and that's how you make a statement at the end of the race.
That's the fastest lap all night. I wasn't kidding. Practice was a 33.1. Qualifying was a 32.6. He just ran that 32.1, nearly in the 1:31 bracket.
Yeah, he's been, you know, we talked about a lot of these other guys finding speed like Dylan Smith. You know, he continued to stay on the heels. Anytime the 41 found speed, the 1 found speed, but the 41 he continues to find it here. You know, we're 4.5 laps from the finish, and he's just getting faster. You know, that's crazy talk.
Crazy talk is Joey Bailey keeping up with Bobby Sweeney and Michael Frisch. He's giving the 99 the bumper in the hairpin, and he knows he can't keep up. Real quick, guys. Poulin is in the way.
Unfortunate storylines of the night, but it's turned into endless entertainment for us up here in the booth.
Poulin's going to get out of the way. 4-time champion sees the blue flag. He's going to get out of the way of the race leaders. I thought that he was going to give the 41 a little bit of some grief.
I started to see it there too, right when you started to speak about it, and I was like, oh, no, don't do that.
So let's talk about lap time with the 51, or sorry, the 58, the 99, and the 51, okay? So Michael Frisch, 34.1. Sweeney at 33.9. Guess where Joey Bailey is? He ran a 1:34 flat without 4th gear.
Without 4th gear,
Without
wow.
4th gear.
Goes to show you, man, you can make up a lot of time in these corners if you know how to hit them. It really makes me sad now. I wish Joey Bailey had 4th gear because I think he's racy enough now that he would have something for Brian.
Smith was a 10th faster than Mercurio last lap. He reset his fastest lap. Maybe the 1 has found something. Maybe he was nursing his stuff to the very end. We're coming to 3 laps to go here in the Netherlands.
You know, that could very well be. Dylan's a smart guy. You know, he's definitely seen what not to do tonight, and I've seen him really aggressively attacking these corner exits coming off really high, and, you know, maybe he's found some speed there.
As going so deep on the brakes into the hairpin. Frisch ran his fastest lap was a 33.8. Sweeney a 34.2. Bailey a 34.7. So I think Bailey used up his stuff to try and get ahead of those two, and now he's falling into the clutches of Wets. This is going to be an easy DRS-style pass for Wets because he's got 4th gear and Bailey doesn't. We'll have to see what Bailey does to try and defend the position. As Bailey defends onto the inside, Wets is going to easily close and take the 5th position, so Bailey's going to fall out of the top 5 here. 3 to go for Brian Mercurio. 3 to go for Mercurio, who was 0.2 of a second faster than Dylan Smith that last lap. Frisch is in 3rd, 4th is Sweeney, 5th is Wets, 6th Bailey, 7th Poteet, 8th is Brandon Lambert, who has clawed his way back up. He had some issues a couple laps ago, climbing his way back through the field. Remember, he was really close to Mercurio in the opening stages of this race. That's Columbia in 9th, last car on the lead lap. Poulin 10th, 11th is Rada, 12th DeRozier. And I know from my personal experience how annoying it is. I'll bring you in, Dylan. How annoying it is to be so close. You can see the guy you're battling, but he's just pulling away.
I mean, are you talking about when we went go-karting that one time, or are you talking about something else? Because
Wow.
I feel it. You feel it every time that.
Dylan
it's Dylan
Smith!
Smith!
Oh no!
From 2nd.
A bad crash coming off the corner.
In a really tight part of the track too.
He stays out of the way, but
well, barring a catastrophic mechanical failure, that pretty much hands the race to our dominating leader in the 41 car.
That's actually how Josh beat me at go-karts, was catastrophic mechanical failures, so...
It all just ties into the conversation we're already having.
Oh, well, yeah, you're trying to tell me that I'm slow. I got it. No, at least I'm not washed up in NASA competition. But
I wasn't talking about the driver mechanically failing, but...
Okay, Josh, just wait. When we come to wherever you are later this year, or next year, whenever we make the trip, you're going to get beat by Dylan squared.
Back up front, Mercurio was a
41 is
second
just driving
faster.
away.
He was a second faster than Frisch. Sweeney in 3rd, 4th is Wets, 5th is Bailey. Poteet and Lambert battling for the 6th position, and now Dylan Smith falls to the last car on the... Wait, he parked! Dylan Smith parked! This is not good for his points. Actually, transponder issue. I stand corrected. Transponder issue for the 1.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think he's having transponder issues. Had to run to pit lane. I think even if he were to park it, he would only finish 11th at the worst. Not great, not quite in the points, but it is what it is.
Mercurio, we got 1 lap to go, or coming to 1 lap to go, and he's really put a clinic. And I mean, some people would say you hate road racing because stuff like this happens, but I personally like road racing when stuff like this happens because you see who is on their game, who is on fire, and the fact of the matter that the speed that he has had and shown today, I haven't seen it in a long time.
From what I've seen today, a lot of people aren't going to like it because it was such a stretched out race. The field got so spread out, but this has been the most fun I've had in the commentary booth with you guys yet. We had so many storylines to talk about. The strategy got beyond interesting. We didn't really know exactly what was going on. This is a new track for the series. So it led to a lot of fun, and you really got to see the dynamic of the mental side of road racing. Something you would get if you were like an F1 fan and you were watching, the shorter races where you got to really do your pit windows just right and beat everybody on strategy to be there at the end. And I thought that was a really unique take that we got to take here this week. And I'm really glad that the race turned out this way.
As I sit and I watch F1 races and I watch turn 1 and I watch Lewis Hamilton storm away and I get really mad and I say, I wish that there was more strategy. I wish there was more passing. And I sit here, 4 days later, after I watched Lewis Hamilton win, and I got really mad. And I sit here 4 days later, and I ask myself, I just watched a guy be a second a lap faster than everybody else, and I loved it.
2 seconds a lap faster at some points.
Yeah, you correct me there. And I loved it because he wasn't in the lead the entire time. And there was strategy to be had. There was passing to be made. We had Columbia get really close, and we know from that move that he made, some people call it dirty. Some people call it what you have to do. And that's a move that if you want to win a championship, we saw from Frisch last season, it's something you got to do.
Yeah.
Rounding the double apex, we're going to go through one final chicane. There's no overtime tonight in Valkenburg. First time here, second win this season, and Mercurio storms away to a win in the Netherlands.
Is that our first repeat winner of this year's Season D?
Yes, twice this season. Defending champion Frisch gets the monkey off his back, comes home second. Great run for him.
Yeah,
Sweeney on his return to racing, a podium finish for car number 99, and he said, don't pay attention to me. Wetz finishes fourth. Fifth will be Lambert. Sixth, Joey Bailey. Seventh, Poteet. Eighth, Columbia. Ninth, Poulin. And 10th, Dylan Smith.
Yeah, I kind of want to pull Mr. Sweeney into the booth, get a hold of him on radio if we can, just to tell him that he's not allowed to tell us to not watch his car anymore. He put on a heck of a show tonight. Great run, way to be there.
Yeah, and Josh, we were showing the Bobby Sweeney a little bit there, but I didn't want to say anything about it and jinx it. But I was gonna really ask Josh. Josh had a little bit of, and he's raced against Bobby Sweeney a little bit more than I have, but. You have some good experience and some good runs on dirt track racing, but I do believe you won a championship. How does dirt racing translate over to these hard endurance races where you have to kind of find different grooves around the racetrack and just really push through conditions on the track?
Let me hold that statement for one moment because we brought Bobby Sweeney in here. Dylan, I need you to tell what you told all of our viewers to Bobby Sweeney, and then I'll answer that question.
Mr. Bobby Sweeney. It's Dylan in the booth if you didn't know that already. I just wanted to bring you in here to tell you your pre-race comments are something we don't want to hear around these parts anymore, man. You said don't watch you because you were going to be bad, you were going to be squirrely. Dude, that was a hell of a race, man. Way to come back to sim racing and really fall right back into the groove, bud.
Yeah, that was actually quite fun to go back to your comment about how dirt racing translates to this. Well, I was sliding around so much when I wore out the tires that it felt like dirt racing because I was turning the other direction most of the time. I don't know what my issue was. I was as fast as everybody on fresh tires, but for whatever reason, I was burning them up a lot faster than others. And right before I had that caution with like 10 to go, I actually spun the car. Thankfully, like the slowest part of the track, so I lost like 4 seconds, but still, I was skating after lap like 5, 6, 7, and you even saw it coming down to the finish where I started drifting off Frisch's back bumper, and even that one part and going in the carousel where I locked up the rears and slapped outside wall. That's just, I don't know what I need to do differently, not burn the tires off, but I got third, so I'll take it.
Not bad for not a lot of practice. Honestly, man, it was a great run. We really hope to see you come out here and run some more with us. You know, it was definitely a big field, and you were in the top of it for the majority of the night, man. Awesome job.
Yeah, thanks. I got real racing taken up the next few Tuesdays, Thursdays, whatever. So I don't know when I'll be back. I slapped this car together in like 20 minutes. So
whenever you come back, though, that was a great run, my friend. Good job.
I definitely finished higher than I ran. So.
When you have the time to come back, the old HVMP compound over here has got one beautiful wrap for whatever you need for your next ride, so you just let us know.
I'll let you know. Thanks.
No, it was a great run, man.
So down in Victory Lane, we are going to bring in Brian Mercurio with Dylan Livingood.
You know, Brian, we talked to you after that first stage there, and we asked you whether you wanted the tire boat or if you wanted the fuel boat. Man, it looked like you wanted some tires there after you were battling with the 39 there. Walk us through that.
Yeah, definitely didn't expect him to play the strategy there. You know, after the stage caution there, he came out and he was in the lead. And then I know the 39 pretty well. I know Arnold pretty well. He was going to drive me hard. And then he definitely showed it. Glad I was able to get around him and then pretty much just fend off everyone else who tried to come up behind me.
Yeah, and we saw a little bit of contact there. Was there was that intentional?
No, it wasn't intentional. I would got it down to hard racing. He gave me a little contact coming out of the one of the last corners before the chicane for the start-finish line, and I may have given him a little contact back. Nothing intentional, just a little bit of hard racing.
Yeah, it definitely looked like racing from our end. I just wanted to ask you because it really looked to us a lot like the Watkins Glen race that the NASCAR Cup Series just had this past weekend. Like you were clearly the fastest car on the track by at least a half a second throughout the whole entire event. But once the 39 got in front of you, it was like you couldn't get around him. Did it feel kind of like a cup? The cup races looked to you?
Um, I know the cup races jotted down to aero issues and a lot of aero push and aero tight as the main cause for all their passing issues. I wouldn't jot it down necessarily to that here. I think just mainly the issue was very defensive driving by the 39. He was pretty much defending me going into every single corner, and eventually, he just tried to learn. He learned every line that I was taking entering corners, and he would make sure to go super defensive in every corner. So, wasn't
Yeah, and
necessarily a handling thing, but more or less, him compromising my line. And I think it just came down to a little bit of hard racing there when I got around him.
Yeah, that was another thing I was thinking was as I was watching him after about the first lap of the battle, it seemed like he kind of knew what move you were going to pull, and he was directing his exit line so that he would be right where you needed to be, so you would have to let out, so you couldn't get up beside him there.
Exactly. As I said, I know Arnold. I know how he drives, especially when he gets in the lead. And I don't blame him for wanting to go for the win and try and hold the lead there. But when I'm the faster car, um, there's only so much, blocking and defensive driving that you can do for there might be a little bit of hard racing.
Yep, and it was a great race. It was a great few laps watching you guys duke it out there. Super exciting for us up here. Also, was watching everybody's strategy with trying to beat you. We saw the 51 car try and beat the Delta, and then he lost fourth gear. One of the most unfortunate situations for him there at the end of the race, but it was definitely interesting. And just way to put on another clinic, man. This is 2 races I've seen now that I've been part of the commentary for that you've been here, and it's just been 2 absolutely dominating performances, man.
Thanks. It's unfortunate that there's some circumstances that happen to my opponents there that I can't really control, whether it's they wreck out on their own or there's some kind of mechanical issue. But all I know is that I just had to get in the lead and stay in the lead and hold it there until the checker flag came out.
Well, yeah, you definitely did that tonight, man. It was an awesome thing to watch. Congratulations, our first repeat winner this season. I'm sure we'll see you back in victory lane again at some point this year. It was a great race. Congratulations again, man. Enjoy it, and keep it coming. You got a straight line to the championship if you keep it up, bud.
Appreciate it.
Wow, what a race in the Netherlands! Why do these airport tracks produce such crazy races?
I mean,
I don't know,
honestly,
but
really,
I'm
I think it's a
casting my
combination
vote.
between the tire that we bring here, the types of surfaces that we run on, going in between the concrete and the asphalt, and I mean, just
I think the curbs played a big role too with how flat the track is. Those steep curbs, man, you don't have the angles to settle in. Sometimes you hit a curb at a place like Sonoma and you end up being downhill, banked the right way that when you land it's not so hard. But here you get that car up in the air, man, it's crashing down.
that's true. And on these flat tracks too, I mean, you fight that and you fight the wheel hop going into the corner, which gets you into that trouble in the first place. And those two combinations are really, really bad. I'm sure Josh knows.
Let's talk about curbs. I know how annoying those could be if you're on the wrong end of them. We're gonna go over points really quick before we wrap up here in the Netherlands. After the 4th round of the championship, tentatively, Joey Bailey still holds the points lead, 111 over Jake Poulin with 97, Jeremy Stanley 87, Cosman, who was not here, with 86, Dylan Smith with 84, Frisch 83, Lambert 76, Mercurio 74. So if we look, I think Wetz is 9th with 73, and then Kyle Riley and Petit tied with 64. So the next couple weeks should be absolutely amazing. We go to Milwaukee and then Lucas Oil. Interestingly, 2 states close to me, but I'm going to be nowhere close to joining you guys. I have to ask you, starting with Mr. Livingood, what did you think about tonight?
Again, it's just one of those just tracks that kind of plays into Solstice and the types of drivers really well. And we saw a bunch of really tight, hard-fought battles because of it. We saw everyone kind of get sorted out into their own little competition level throughout the field. We saw the front guys dominate, saw a bunch of cars on top of each other in the middle, and some guys maybe not doing so good in the back, but making the most of it. So strategy came into play big here, tire saving, all the things you really love in a really good race.
And Mr. Dylan Body.
Yeah, like I talked about in the middle of the race, I feel like this is the first time in a while, if, ever since we've taken over here at HPMP with doing these broadcasts, where we've actually gotten to really explain the strategy in a road race, watch it unfold without a lot of caution interference. And I think if you're somebody who maybe wasn't into the road course racing and you tuned in tonight, I hope at least that you took away a more positive outlook on a race that's run like this. I think that's a big thing, is that people got to see a different side of racing that's maybe a little more mental, a little more strategy that they're not used to, and I hope that intrigues some of our fans and followers.
As I have to say, from my point of view, being able to bring true road race style, I say this meaning like Delta, and educating people on that element of road racing, you don't really see it often in NASCAR. I don't know if it's the just way NASCAR is, or whether you're the announcers. I'm not trying to put blame one side or the other, but they don't focus on the deltas. They don't focus on the strategy element of it, and that's a fascinating part of road racing, and that's what makes it great, I have to say. If Bailey, I'm thinking Bailey blew fourth gear during the pit stop rotation, because if he did not blow fourth gear, he would have won that pit cycle, and then who knows what would have happened at the end of the race. But I want to say hindsight's 20/20 in this aspect. It's probably not the right saying, but I still want to say that because we don't know what would have happened if Joey Bailey had not had that mechanical issue. We hope you enjoyed today's coverage of High Voltage Media Productions Solstice ProLine Cup Series here at Valkenburg in the Netherlands. Remember, next week we are racing Tuesday at the Milwaukee Mile, and then the following Thursday at the Lucas Oil Raceway, I do believe. Like I said, I will not be here next week, so Mr. Living Good, Mr. Body, you will have to run the show. But from all of us here in High Voltage Media Productions, congratulations to Brian Mercurio on the second win this season. What a dominating performance to him, and we will see you next week in Wisconsin at the Milwaukee Mile. But until then, so long, everyone.